All right, everybody. This will be a warning to all politicians. I'm running for president 2024, part 60, I believe. Greetings from lovely Las Vegas, or North Las Vegas. There's a lot going on in this country, and what a lot of people have to understand. These politicians on the left, the tactics they're using and the things that they've allowed to creep into the society, the tolerance for crime, the tolerance for drugs, homosexuality, abortion, pornography, this push to divide us through racism, by promising all kinds of stuff, making welfare states and welfare cities. This is all straight out of the socialist communist manifestos, Lenin, Marx, everything, using uneducated people and creating a psychosis. And also isolating them. The only types of people they have contact with are the types of people who think the same as them. Everyone else is part of the problem to them. And they use these people, they put, some people at the top who have received higher educations and this and that, but who follow that ideology. They were grafted into that ideology before they got their higher education, and they just carried that through. So it's not like, oh, they got educated and then they realized all this stuff or whatever. No, they have these ideologies. They get a pseudo education confirming the doctrine's already been pounded in their heads, and then they use the mass media and now social media to push those agendas and doctrines out to a large part of the population. Actually, compared to the whole entire population, it's not a large population, but it's enough to, with the use of media, to make it seem like to all of them who participate in these things that they're making changes for the good. They're righting the wrongs. They're doing all this stuff as they loot and they burn and they create their little zones. We went through a lot to get rid of segregation in this country, and now they're making these safe zones and stuff, no white zones, no go zones, in some of the Islamic communities in Europe and stuff, and I don't know if they're trying it here. They use people like Farrakhan and preachers, like that Wright guy up there in Chicago. So it's the whole gambit: religion, politicians, athletes, entertainers, news media, social media, the drug culture, the national, or they call us, white nationalists and all this and everything because we want a secure border. All these types of things, and you can see how this has played out around the world since Lenin and Marx. Vietnam, Castro in Cuba, and Castro when he was in Central America, those groups down there, other places around the world. It's the same MO. They take those on the fringes of society and who feel they have an axe to grind, that they drum it into their head that they're oppressed when they're, you got these kids, you're in college, you're going to college to get an education so that you can take part in the, largest economy in the world and make something of yourself and give yourself and your children a better future. And then guess what? You're going to be the privileged. You're going to be called, you have privilege, because your kids aren't going to have to, work as hard as you did and everything. That's all these people in Hollywood and stuff like this and coming out, oh, they're privileged and stuff and all this. Just push the mantra that, no white people bust their asses and work and then try and raise their children up to do better than they themselves have. All these immigrants that have come to this country who started with nothing and worked their way up and were able to give their children better than they had, hey, they just had it handed to them too. But when Trump wins again, they're gonna try and build it up to a frenzy the whole time up to the election. And if Trump wins, you're just gonna see them go off the hook. It'll be the same as it'll be worse than LA 92 or the stuff over George Floyd. They take people who already have skewed views of society. They reinforce those views. They don't allow them exposure. And many of them don't get exposure because they're, products of their environment, their climate. If they're up there living in Chirac and all the people around them are thinking the same way, and drugs and gangs and antisocial, the man is the enemy type stuff. Putting people in jail is unfair, all that kind of crap. There's really no talking to them. The left, in effect, is creating zombies. Do you understand that? The whole communist thing, if you go back, they create zombies, mindless zombies. You're not allowed to have independent thought. You're not allowed to believe in God. You're not allowed to believe in any of the principles of religion. They're creating mindless zombies. That's why they want to legalize more drugs. That's why they want to, they're going to treat drug use as a disease and even supply the drugs. You understand this? This. Look at Europe. Just go along with it. We're going to give you some drugs. We're gonna, give you a check. Look at Germany. They let murderers back out on their street and work release programs and stuff. And there's look at, and they'll tell you, oh, it's great, everything's great. No need to worry about nothing. And they're full of shit. They desensitize people with abortion. Life doesn't matter. They propagate drug use and alternate lifestyles. There's transgender stuff, all this type of stuff, and it's normal society that has the problem. It's normal society that's the cause of the problem. And they get enough of these mindless zombies. They're already doing it now. You know, and they're going to try and cause you to lose your job and all this. And these stupid corporations, I'm telling you, and they're organized at the top. They are, because they get these judges put in office, these politicians, these mayors. There's, you know, the bulk of them are mindless zombies. But at the top, they're well funded. They have persistently and in an organized manner, in a planned manner, gotten more people who should, even people who should be thankful that they made it here and they're doing so good, like what's her name, Omar and stuff. You know, she comes from her story anyway. She, you know, a refugee camp from Somalia and all this and everything. This country accepts her, takes her in, gives her an education. She gets elected to Congress, and all she can do is badmouth everything and everyone in this country. And so this is organized, planned stuff. They go and they hand pick people like Omar. It's like Barack Obama came out of nowhere. He was hand picked. They are funded by people like Soros and all these other I don't know what you call them, really. Just out of their minds, people with too much money, who want to tear down everything about this country. Now, we're getting to a point, like I said, it's World War Z. They are creating zombies. Brainwashing is taking place in this country. Absolute, positively brainwashing, with the courses they teach in college, with what they put on social media, what they reinforce on social media. You know, they want to turn it all upside down. And there's a point where not only just building a wall, the question of that, you know, taking place, you're going to have to start to question whether you just close it all off for a while until we get a grip on this, on who's coming into this country and what their agendas are. You know, after World War I and World War II, people came here. They wanted to be American, and for a long time, many people have come here because they wanted to be American. They wanted to have the freedom. They wanted opportunity to provide for their families, to become a business owner, to be able to go to the religion of their choice. And not be stuck in a culture that dictated every aspect of their life. And now we're being infiltrated. And it's the sad thing is there's a lot of people who are going to get caught in the middle, who are still trying to come here because they believe in the ideals of this country and everything, and want a better life, and want to be Americans, no matter what their race is. See, the left wants to push it that if you're white and you want to be American, you're a Nazi, you're a nationalist, some kind of supremacist, and all this. And the other people who are not white, who believe in the American ideals and all this, they got all kinds of names for them too. But this country, whether you're white, black, or brown, and it's really sad you got to put things that way, whether you're white, black, or brown. You should just, if you're an American, you're going to have to start taking a hard look at these people, instead of blowing it off as a bunch of idiots and stuff, burning the flag and doing all this kind of stuff in our streets and screaming out their slogans. This is a cancer. They have an agenda. They've been pushing this agenda. It's been growing and growing and growing. And you have to look at Russia. 20 million died there in their, communist revolution, Marxist revolution. Other places around the world. You need to look at Africa. Look at South Africa. The bloodshed and everything that took over there with the end of apartheid. The communists have raised up there. You get to look at the frenzies that people can be worked into. You look at the Houthis and the Tutsis, I believe it was, or the Hutus and the Tutsis, whatever the names were there. And people hacked each other apart. It was a psychosis that went through that country. That's the type of stuff they want to instill here. You have to understand there's a lot going on. This is a lot more than just about police brutality or racism in America. Are there racists in America? Yes, there are. But racists aren't just white people. And there's no such thing as reverse racism. Oh, it's okay for me to be a racist because of racist people. I'm sorry. I've met people of every color, and I've run into racists of every color. Or just about every ethnicity, I should say, instead of color. No matter what culture you go to, either within that culture or right next door, there's another people that, everyone feels they have an axe to grind against, or people that are classified as like, second class, all the derogatory stuff. It doesn't matter where you go. You got countries in Europe, who speak bad about each other and stuff back and forth, all those French or whatever, those, Spaniards, there's stuff there. And it's they've had plenty of trouble with that EU and integrating stuff. Because not all people cultures are the same. And out here driving these trucks, you can see it out here right now. There's and I've watched videos about trucking over there in Europe and stuff. Some of those truck stops, and one on the border was Spain and France, or I forget the countries, where they just go across the border to this town because it's like open sexual stuff or whatever, and there's a truck stop there, and you can see guys going to the bathroom in the parking lots and doing other stuff right there in the parking lot. And I'm not talking about urinating and other places in the world. Defecating outside and stuff is no big thing to them. Then they go into another country, like England or something, like, hey, what the hell are you doing? And there's problems. Things are acceptable or maybe not acceptable, but the people just don't care. They have no care for society and stuff. And you can see that now here. These guys coming over from Europe and other places in the world, There's some of them who, and I'm not saying no, white guy that was born here had never done this or anything like that, but it hasn't never been like a noticeable thing, but it's noticeable now. You pull up in a parking spot in a truck and you get out and all you can smell is shit. And you look, and underneath the truck next to you, you can see the shit on the ground. Or when the guy pulls out, you can see it. I don't know what the deal is. They're cutting the holes in the floorboards and crap. It's absolutely insane. If you can't walk inside to take a dump, there's something wrong with you. There's absolutely something wrong with you. And it's mostly these foreign guys. So, coming from one culture to another, used to be people would adopt, change their habits and stuff. A lot of them don't anymore. They're not here because they want to be American. There's no gratitude for being here. And a lot of them come from these countries in Europe and other places where there is socialist types things, medical and all this type of stuff. And so it's entitlement, and they believe they should have that entitlement here. They become hostile to the American way of life of, you want something, you go out and work for it. I'm not saying the far right and extreme capitalism doesn't have things wrong with it. The greed, you remember those movies, Wall Street and stuff like that. I'm not saying there's no corruption there, but even Obama catered to that with the bailouts and things like this, and not prosecuting people who committed crimes at the top. So, these people are indoctrinated and brainwashed into being these types of zombies. Like, yeah, we get it our way, it's all going to change. No, it ain't. Because the people at the top, even the socialist communists, are privileged. You're going to be the working ass zombie with no hope of a future of ever obtaining any type of freedom to start a business or do whatever. You're going to be dictated to what you can do. And in those types of situations, there's no desire to excel at anything, because what's the sense of working harder than the next guy or doing a better job than the next guy if your situation's going to stay the same? Every place I've worked, those who worked good and worked hard and stuff got the promotions and the raises in most cases. And there have always been people like, hey man, you're working too hard. You're doing that too fast. You're making the rest of us look bad. Plenty of places I've worked at was told, slow down, man. Slow down. They'll want us all to work like that. See what I'm saying? They don't want to achieve or anything like that. And if you try and achieve, they're the ones going to be holding you down. The people with this mindset. Don't excel. Don't achieve. Just kick back, smoke your weed, take your check, and be happy. But the people at the top will still be jet-setting around the world and living in mansions. You can count on that. Just look anywhere else in the world. Castro never missed a meal. A lot of his people missed meals. The whole infrastructure of Cuba went to shit down there. And they can try and blame America, but still plenty of other countries did business with Cuba. And Castro spent the money and the wealth of that country on weapons and putting in his own family's bank accounts and other shit. So that's why a lot of Cubans, you go to South Florida, there's a lot of Cubans or conservative Republican hate Castro, hate the regime there, hate that they had to leave their country. So this is what you're up against, what your children and your grandchildren are going to be up against. These people are inducing psychosis. They're making zombies of these people so they can cause the chaos and the anarchy and can give more power to the left so they can push their agendas. Make everywhere a welfare state with drugs to numb the population. Criminals having more rights and better conditions than the victims. You know, free food, free housing, free medical, all that stuff. Sure, they get put up with the bullshit being in prison. They ain't out here having to work, pay their way. Their families don't have to pay their way. Over in Europe, the drug addicts don't have to pay for their drugs. You'll work and pay for their drugs. You will not have one shred of one shred of freedom. And if you speak out, they want to put in fear and intimidation. You got to step up, not be afraid, not be intimidated. And understand, if this cancer keeps growing, and if you allow these places like CHOP and other stuff to spring up, you're giving in to lunatics, to a criminal, drug-crazed, uneducated mob that's being used by people at the top to push their agendas. It's people you see in doing CHOP and all, that's their foot soldiers. You ain't gonna see the ones, you know, who want that kind of stuff, you know. Some of them are in Congress, they want it. Some of them won't speak out and say they want it, but they look the other way. They don't care, they're not going to comment on it. They're going to blow it over and all this and everything. But they know it furthers their political careers, so they're not going to condemn it when they should condemn it. So, wish you all the best out there. God bless. That's my 2 cents on a lot of this. And that, watch that movie World War Z. Because that's what you're getting, a bunch of people whose thought process is altered by all the drugs they take and all the hysteria on social media and in the news media, and people like Don Lemon and stuff reinforcing this brainwashing. That's what you got. World War Z. So, zombies. Zombies. So, wish you all the best out there. Pray for your children and your grandchildren, because they're going to have to deal with this stuff. All right. Adios.